For starters, 9-6 this week on picks. Yeah, 9-6. I wanted consecutive 10 win weeks, but well, it wasn't a full slate of games this week because of the Baltimore and Houston fiasco. So hopefully I can make up for it later. Let's go down the slate real quick. Carolina, Chicago. Again, you got to give credit to Carolina coming back. They were down 17-3 against this Bears defense that we think is pretty good. And the Cardiac Cats are back. That's what it looks like to me right now. 5 years ago, that Carolina team, maybe it wasn't the most talented team, but they found ways to win games. They snuck into the playoffs and put together a really good run. I know we got one Panthers fan on here. I cannot remember his name, but enjoy this season because you got a 2-0 start. Two big victories, come from behind, dramatic fashion. Enjoy that. I remember last year when we beat the Rams and Eagles back to back. That was just fantastic. So I know I've been there. Chicago's got to be a little let down. You get a blocked punt touchdown, and that's like 7 gimme points. Not to say that they didn't earn it, but you cannot depend on things like that to happen. So having something like that happen is like finding free points. So you hate to not be able to take advantage of that. Orton, I don't want to say that they should switch to Grossman because they shouldn't. Guy still can't throw deep. They shouldn't even bother trying to get him to go deep anymore. It's just feels like every time you see him go back to throw deep, you just turn away. Well, this is hitting the turf. Matt Forte again looked good. I think he should have gotten the ball near the end of the game, especially on the 4th inches that they didn't convert that lost the game. I don't understand some of the play calling they did at the end, but hindsight's 20/20. And Greg Olsen, obvious go to the game with the 2 fumbles for a tight end, which is beyond bad. Really cost them the game there all around. And Jonathan Stewart, I loved him before the draft. I loved him during the draft, after the draft, and I still love him. Wish Seattle could have picked him up. I wanted him for months. I'm not going to lie. So I knew he was going to be good, and he's already turning into an immediate impact player. So, carrying Jake Delhomme a little bit, who did not have his best game. And now they get Steve Smith back. So we'll see what Carolina can do in a division that might be up for grabs. Titans Bengals. It's depressing to watch Palmer right now. That's most of what I can say about this game. Collins came in. He pitched a great relief effort for Vince Young. That's what he is, a relief quarterback. Just giving the ball to Chris Johnson and letting him do his thing, who continues to look really good out there. Making do with a really bad receiver core. I don't know how long he can keep it up, but right now he looks like he could just relief pitch the Titans to a winning record. But we'll see. It helps when you're getting, blocked punts for touchdowns and stuff like that. But the Bengals, Palmer right now just almost looks emo out there, and it's depressing because he's talented, and it's just lifeless out there right now. Maybe I'm not one to talk, but at least I enjoyed the game last Sunday. We lost, but we played valiantly. I can't say I have any regrets about it, other than the fact that we didn't win, but we played hard. Tennessee right now, there's just no life coming from that sideline, offensively and defensively. So I will say that it's time for Palmer to start taking some accountability here. He's got the 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers, really good third option. He's gotten the opportunity to revamp the offense with the coordinators and some of the players, and it's still not happening. But I still feel bad for him. So gotta find a way to get the ball to those 2 elite wide receivers. Gotta find a way. Packers Lions, and that is why on this forum I go to, they are known as the LOL Lions. That was geeky, but that's what we call them, and that's why. I didn't watch the game, so I can't even imagine how you give up 24 points in the last 7 minutes of the game, or whatever it was. It's unfathomable. And, credit to the Lions for coming back. Calvin Johnson had that awesome second half. He looks great out there. I really hope he has a nice career. And Detroit might be the place to do it. I mean, they're going to be having to pass a lot if they're playing like this. Kitna put together a heroic effort near the end, but you knew the Lions were not going to win that game, even when they were up a point. Even when they were getting the breaks, even when they were looking good, you knew they weren't going to win that game, but I didn't know they were going to get destroyed. That being said, Rodgers looked great. I don't know what's up with Ryan Grant. McCarthy said he was out of sync, and I can believe that. I can. But, let's see. Greg Jennings doesn't have a touchdown yet, but he's playing out of his mind as well. Really like what he brings on the deep ball. And, something has to be said about the Packers secondary allowing that comeback. But they won. Now they can regroup and try and sort things out, because at the end of the game they did come up with those interceptions. I think Woodson had a couple, Collins had one. Just turned it into a big Kitna interception fest. So all's well in Green Bay. Bills and Jaguars. I was tempted to take the Bills, and hindsight's 2020. Again, I don't know what's up with Garrard. I do know his offensive line is in shambles, but he's forcing things. That's all there is to it, and that's not the Garrard we saw last year. Last year, Garrard was as close as perfect with the ball as you could get. So he's got to find a way to channel the old Garrard. Not that I totally blame him. One thing I do like from Jacksonville is Matt Jones. Matt Jones was a guy I've liked since the 05 draft when he was taken. Looked like he was going to bust. He's having a good season so far. Now, he's being forced onto the field because of injuries. But even so, the Jaguars are having a really hard time running the ball right now. Their defense is struggling a little bit. And he's stepping up. Hopefully it'll translate to something a little later on. As for the Bills, well, they're starting to look like a real playoff football team. And I don't mean like in years previous, and even up until maybe even today, you would look at the Bills and think, well, they can make big plays. They can force turnovers. They'll create some crazy games, but they're not going to make the playoffs because they can't consistently grind out drives and grind out defensive stops. And maybe it's time. Maybe it's time for them to finally put it together. And we'll see, but good start. Right now they are probably considered to be at an advantage in the division, so they're in a good position. Raiders Chiefs. Nothing interesting to say here except Darren McFadden broke out. Nice game. Nice series of runs to help put the game away. Other than that, Russell did practically nothing, was asked to do practically nothing. Dwayne Bowe continues to look like a really impressive second-year player, but there's just not much to say here. Colts Vikings. I watched this game. Really fun to watch. You knew, even when the Vikings were up 15-0, Colts were probably going to come back and make the game interesting, and they did. Late in the third, the fourth, they came up with the big touchdown to get things rolling. Lateral from Gonzo to Wayne. Really, I didn't like it. I mean, it worked, so you can't complain. If it works, you can't get too mad. But Gonzo's got to be careful with that. Manning had a poor game, but he came back at the end, did enough things right, and managed to win the game for the Colts. Anthony Gonzalez played out of his mind. He reminded me a little bit of Kellen Winslow Sr. in the Chargers-Dolphins playoff game so many years ago. Just the way he was just going after everything and making the big catches, finding a way to do it. Dwight Freeney. Dwight Freeney actually has 2 sacks this season through 2 games, so he looks like he's back to what he was 3 years ago. And Minnesota, there's nothing else to say here. They blew it. They absolutely, positively should have won that game. 5 field goals, no touchdowns, dropped passes, and inability to throw it forward. And, I don't really trust Tavares Jackson, but I thought maybe the Vikings could win in spite of him. But you need to be able to throw the ball forward in the NFL if you want to win games, and that was evident here. Adrian Peterson exploded. Vikings still lose because they cannot pass the ball.